The shout now. Well done, Bobby Johnson. Well done, Manchester United.
Beckham. Into Sheringham. And Solskjaer has won it. Radisson saved it. United again. Rooney. A magnificent goal by Robbie Van Persie.
Welcome to United Hour, your official Red Cafe podcast for all things Manchester United. I'm your host, Nick.
I'm Colm.
And I'm Jamie.
Yeah, good day. I think everybody was ready to be recording on this one, recording about an hour after the game, so a little bit of time to digest and see what had gone on there. But our fourth time we win in a row away from home after going from behind, and there's actually all sorts of crazy stats going on over here now. 8th away game in a row that we win. So yeah, I don't know. We need to stay away from Old Trafford, I guess, right, Colm?
Yeah, it should just be locked down Old Trafford. Not even the players should be allowed in.
Yeah. I mean, we did at least, as I said, last time we recorded was after beating West Brom and finally getting rid of that kind of no home wins in the league at Old Trafford. But yeah, our away form just keeps going on. And this one was most worrying because, yeah, you go down 2-0 at half time, you're going to be happy with a draw. But yeah, we managed to go even one further than that. But yeah, there was plenty of talking points from this game. We didn't record after the Istanbul game, so we'll give that a mention. And then
Istanbul who?
Istanbul Başak here. We're just going to call them Istanbul Başakşehir. I'm pretty sure that's
exactly
actually
it.
Yeah. And then preview the Paris game, which is next up for us. But yeah, look, let's get straight into the Southampton one. I mean, I remember after the last pod, I said I'd kind of be happy with a draw from this one because they were in pretty good form. They hadn't conceded a goal at home for about 3 or 4 games, I think. And we're like, on a really good run and ahead of us in the league. As I said, one of my Southampton supporting mates was so confident that he's already bet me that Southampton were going to finish above us. So this was a 6-pointer for my bet, basically. But yeah, we came out. We'd had quite a lot of injuries, so I don't know how much credit you can give to Ole and how much was kind of forced. There wasn't that many options. Martial was out, Pogba out, McTominay, Shaw. And so, yeah, in the end, Donny van de Beek has finally got his first start in the Premier League. And he's gone with this kind of midfield diamond. Or did you think it was a diamond? This was the kind of talking point. It looked like it was a diamond to set up. But Colm, is that how it played out for you?
Pretty hard to tell. I think first half it did seem to be a kind of diamond. I don't think we ever really stick stringently to it. And you could probably make the argument that anytime you do play diamond, there's so much transience in those midfield positions, and you're asking them all to kind of get up and get down, that apart from the person at the base of it, and even that, more obvious today because it was Matic and he can't run forward at all. But broadly, I don't know that those terms are any use to us, to be honest, when we play these kind of formations. Any departure from the 4-2-3-1 always kind of ends up not looking that dissimilar to the 4-2-3-1. So I think in the first half, it did look like that was the intended shape. In the second half, I think that was completely out the window. And it looked to me like a 4-2-3-1 with no one playing right wing.
I know what you mean. If we go to the average position charts, then you can kind of see the diamond there. I mean, Matic is at the base of it. Van de Beek and Fred are kind of in line with each other in front of that. And then Bruno is quite clear in front of that. And Rashford is quite clear wide up left. Greenwood, it was quite bizarre actually to see the average position chart. I'll post it up on Twitter and all for people to have a look at. But Greenwood is incredibly deep. Normally you didn't expect him to be as far forward as Rashford on, far on the right side. But he's actually behind Bruno, and his average position is no further forward than Fred or Van de Beek. And we'll get on to his performance, and he was obviously taken off at half time. But yeah, I do think there was some kind of attempt to go for this diamond, and I was a little bit worried about it, to be honest, because last time we rolled out, it was against Arsenal, and it didn't work out for us at all, even though we had a really good performance against Leipzig with a similar kind of position. I mean, Jamie, what do you think about the diamond? Is it something you want to see more of? And, now we've used it 3 times. We have won twice and lost once.
I don't know, is my honest answer. The start of the game, I actually missed 10 minutes because of Sky being very unreliable, but then I managed to get tuned in. And basically, from what I saw from about the 9th minute in or so, I don't know if it was a diamond or if it was just more of a reflection of the 4-2-3-1, because it just doesn't seem as though the players stay in the positions. And I don't know, I just think we're much better suited to the 4-2-3-1. We're more comfortable in it, and I think with the different personnel in the 4-2-3-1, I think that still works better than the diamond. I just think the players don't look too suited to play in the diamond themselves. I thought we did have a lot of the ball, I thought, in the opening exchanges and before Southampton scored. So maybe from a possession point of view, the diamond does work in terms of it allows us to keep possession and keep the ball ticking over, but we didn't really seem to make many chances from it at all. But I don't know if that's more of a reflection on our overall play rather than the actual system we were employing. So with regards to the diamond, I don't know about getting rid of it altogether and not trying it anymore. I do think we're much better suited to the 4-2-3-1, but maybe with the fact that we are starting to see Van de Beek playing more games in the midfield, and not in the advanced positions, but definitely next to Fred or deeper in the midfield, I think it might be worth going back to at another time. But at the moment, I do think just while we're getting positions nailed down and people more comfortable where they're playing, I think the 4-2-3-1 is still the way to go.
Yeah, it is interesting to look at how we've lined up in both of the last two matches, because against Istanbul, it was one of the most attacking lineups Ole's put out for a long time. Van de Beek starts, but more in a kind of, whether you call it double pivot, number 8. And then Cavani also getting his first start over there. Two players people have been waiting for a lot, but it was the can't remember Ole putting out as attacking a lineup for quite some time, because he's been really relying on two defensive midfielders most of the time. And then there's a question over, can Van der Beek do the defensive work? And so far from what I've seen, I think he can actually do it pretty well. And I'm not too worried about him coming into that kind of position. Whereas people were questioning, look, it's well and good to play this way against Istanbul, but going back to the Premier League, I mean, in the end, obviously, Ole has come in and played kind of two defensive players in there, but in a different kind of setup. But Van der Beek now 2 starts and has done pretty well. I mean, Ole, Colm, how are you feeling about Van der Beek now? People have been chomping at the bit to see him. There's been a lot of complaints. I thought it was all a bit overdone and that he was going to get his chance eventually, and he's getting it now.
Well, the complaints were slightly overdone. I think certainly in the media they were overdone. I think the media was taken to just inventing issues and fallings out over the head of it, which was clearly never true. I think from a fan perspective, it was fair enough to be disappointed, because it was a signing that a lot of people were excited by. He's a player that has come from a club that at that time were doing extremely well and had actually significantly outperformed United, certainly on the European stage. And he'd been a big focal part of that. So to kind of assume that he couldn't fit into our team, although he is playing behind essentially the best number 10 in world football at the moment in Bruno Fernandes, does kind of mitigate that slightly, which I suppose was always the big argument. I'm a huge fan of him, and I agree with you. I think he is actually quite responsible defensively. And even if, over the period of time where he gets more starts, that's proven maybe not to be the case, it wouldn't hugely bother me, because the United team I want to watch is the one that's on the front foot and the one that wants to maximise its attacking football first, basically, and play the best kind of football first. And I think he definitely does that for us. I've just been super impressed. He's super thoughtful in his play. He does everything quickly. Everything's one touch. He is very comfortable in possession. He can beat a press. He's hardworking and industrious. Or runs are good, and he just never, in the short amount that we've seen him so far, makes you think, you never throw the head up, even the way you do sometimes with Bruno, who gives you obviously so much more in terms of his attacking output. But I just think he's super solid and the kind of a really nice modern technical footballer that we've lacked for a long, long time. So I think where you can fit him in, you should, and I do think he's deserved slightly more minutes than he's got so far. Because even in the small minutes he's gotten, he's always kind of shown a bit of quality, whether it's making chances or indeed scoring or assisting. So I just want to see more of him. And I think any way you can fit him in is good, and the diamond certainly helps in that. I was really surprised he went with it today. Against Istanbul, it makes a lot of sense, because you just know they're not really going to be able to contend with us if our players play the way they should. Obviously, I know they beat us a couple of weeks before, but really that's an oddity. So it's a lot easier to make it for that. I think for Southampton, it's quite a brave call today, because he could have just played 4-2-3-1 and been a bit more solid. But he clearly, has had a slight change of heart about that, and kind of valued what I think the fans have been wanting to see from us, which is more positive attacking players on the pitch.
Yeah, and as we started this game, today. There was actually quite a bit of disagreement, I think, at half time. Like, I actually thought that we started this game okay. Like, we weren't amazing, but it's a difficult game away from home. They're on good form, like I said. I think it's something like 5.5 hours of football. They haven't conceded a goal at St Mary's, and we had chances. Greenwood should score early
Yeah,
on.
open
Bruno
goal.
hits a post.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have taken that first time, and it would have definitely been a goal. Bruno hits a post as well. I mean, we weren't like carving them open and creating chance out of chance, but definitely thought we had the better of it early on, and that was kind of mirrored by my friend who was messaging me, like as I say, the Southampton fan said, "Oh, I think we're lucky to still be at 0-0 at the moment." And then all of a sudden, the game changes completely on kind of what I see as two set pieces. We had a lot of problems last season with set pieces, time and time again. We were conceding from corners, but we seem to have kind of got a bit better organised, and it hadn't been an issue so far this season. I can't remember us conceding. Have we conceded another from a corner this season? Not that I remember, but yeah, it was a huge issue last season for ages. But now all of a sudden, we've gone behind again to a corner. James Ward-Prowse is very well known for his set piece work, and again and again his in swingers were kind of causing us a bit of problems there. But yeah, and also a great free kick from him. But I don't really see it as that much more than Southampton did well from two set pieces. I mean, how did you see, Jamie, how the game went over there? It's the first half.
I agree that we were in control in terms of we had plenty of possession, as I said before. We had made a couple of chances, a couple of good chances, and yeah, we should have been in the lead before their goal. Alan Smith said on commentary, after they scored, it is crazy how much a goal can change a game, and he was right, because I just thought we were all over Southampton in the sense that we had plenty of the ball, yet we were making chances. I still think we still needed to be making a few more, which I think we see in the second half just how much of a difference having a focal point up front gives a team like us. But after their goal went in, it was just a total momentum change. Every piece of momentum just went straight to Southampton, and suddenly they're on the front foot. They're snapping into the tackles. They're winning the second balls. They're getting us turned around the wrong way and going back towards our own goal, and releasing the likes of Walcott and Adams with a bit of pace. I can't remember, is it Denepo who played on their left hand side? He was very good for 20 minutes or so after their goal as well. So I just thought that the entire momentum shifted towards Southampton after their goal. And regarding the goal, I just think it's one of those. It's a really good set piece in terms of it's a great cross from Ward-Prowse. We know he can do that anyway, but it is a wicked ball in. And then I think it's Rashford is marking Bednarek. And you just see, just in the replay, Rashford gives him a wee push as if thinking that's going to be enough. And just as he gives him the push, Bednarek kind of starts running away from him anyway. So Rashford actually does him a favour by giving him a bit of a push. So Bednarek gets away from Rashford, just literally makes a 3 or 4 pace run in front of him, flicks the header on, and to be honest, when the flick on is like that at the near post, the keeper's got no chance, and neither of the defenders on the post or behind Bednarek anyway. It's just one of those. I think in terms of it can happen. It's a great set piece. It's a flicked on header at the near post. You see them most weekends. I just thought it was one of those, really.
Yeah, Rashford definitely gets done by him there and should be doing better. And again, you saw them doing that same corner in, swinger in, and they're like lining up on our line and really trying to crowd around there. And yeah, it's got them through over there. Yeah, for sure, they did get better of the game for a while. I'd say we were better for the first 20 until they scored, and they were better for the rest of the half. But we did still have that other chance again where Greenwood is through. You might blame him for shooting. At the same time, I find it difficult to blame strikers for having a shot there as long as they hit the target. But yeah, maybe it's a tap in if he passes it. But also, Bruno should score for me. It's slightly casual. I think he thinks it's an easy tap in for him, and it is kind of a really good save. But I think he could have made that goal pretty safe there. I mean, how was your reading of the first half, Colm?
Well, that's funny, because a good reason to stop and reflect upon the actual finish of the 90 minutes is always not a bad thing, because at half time I was livid, and I think the way in which we conceded those goals really clouded my view of the whole half, because I thought we'd been awful watching it, and at half time that's how I felt. When I went back kind of after the 90 minutes and looked at it, it was probably harsh, and it was definitely coloured by the two conceded goals that were not really as a result of Southampton's great play. They were just, as you say, isolated incidents of good play and poor play by us. But really, over the course of the half, we had the better. But I mean, there definitely was. I mean, the open goal for Greenwood, I think, is a nice little run, picks it up in the centre, and I think should score 9 times out of 10, particularly for a talented player like him on his favourite foot. The Bruno long range shot off the post is definitely a credible chance, and as you say, the Greenwood one where he's burned down through the middle of the pitch, I also think he has every right to take that shot because he is in the middle of the pitch, and it is a good stop. And then I agree, Bruno should absolutely score, and those aren't like half chances. At least 2 of those are gilt edge chances. I think Jamie's right. We definitely could have created more in the first half, but we do have a habit of starting slowly and really taking a while to ratchet up any kind of pressure or really get into our creative mood. So it's not really surprising or uncommon. So it really wasn't the disaster that the 2-0 scoreline would have painted, although I was really disappointed with both goals, really disappointed. I appreciate what you've said about that corner. I think possibly De Gea can come out and clear that. Rashford does criminally, but there's 3 or 4 players there, and it was that kind of typical thing that we see all the time where clubs just flood the 6-yard box, and we're very passive in allowing that to happen, and I thought it was extremely poor.
It was, and it's something that needs to be looked at. As I said, it was a big worry last season, again and again. We lost goals on corners, but it seemed to have been something that we've obviously focused on and seemed to have ironed out that issue. But again, you do have to give credit as well. James Ward-Prowse does have an incredible set piece ability, and I think they were showing now that his stats are right up there with someone like the all-time free kick takers. I mean, he's not anywhere near yet somebody like David Beckham, who's still way out in front, but they showed how he's passed quite a few kind of names much bigger than him on how many direct free kick goals have been scored in the Premier League.
He scored 3 this year from direct free kicks, and the rest of the league has scored 3.
Yeah, exactly.
So he accounts for half of all the direct free kicks scored in the league so far.
I think they said that's his 9th by his own tally for free kick goals directly scored is now 9, which takes him level with I think he said it's either Matt Letizia or it's another ex-Spurs player, I think, off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it said it took him past Matt Letizia and joint now with Frank Lampard and Jamie Redknapp.
Yeah, that's right. It's Jamie Redknapp's right. Yeah, that's the one.
This might be slightly controversial, but I think De Gea should maybe save that. I know it goes right inside the post, but it's going to that side. And I also thought he possibly should have saved the one against Istanbul, which is very similar.
There is definitely a question mark on both those. They were both good free kicks for sure.
They're good free kicks. Don't get me wrong. They're not top bag. They're very much middling height.
Exactly, and because he's got a hand to it, by definition, it's not unsavable because he has got a hand to it in both occasions.
I thought in both occasions he dived back quite limply. It almost seems to be he got to both and was behind his own line, kind of in getting to them. I thought they were both savable and poor from him, and I also, I was glad to see him go off at half time, and that is not just my irrational distaste for David De Gea colouring that, I don't think.
Well, come on, he's actually had a good season.
I think he's been good, yeah, he's been good.
Yeah, he's been grand.
After some big question marks last season, and I kind of actually thought that he would start this season and that maybe he would make mistakes again and that Henderson would have come in by now, but De Gea has been good this season, for sure. Surely you've got to admit that, Colm.
Yeah, I have, and I think I have on every pod so far because he's been directly involved with positive, good saves that have been important. But I mean, we're not out of the woods yet. 9 games does not undo the last little while for me.
No, but anyway, look, it is interesting now that Henderson is going to get a chance. I mean, I don't know how bad De Gea's injury is. We'll wait and see. But now, officially, Henderson now is in possession of that shirt and has to show what he can do. And if he stays on form, I don't think De Gea will automatically get that place back.
I think he will.
I don't know. This is supposed to be the whole point of having 2 big goalies.
Well, it is, but Ole, it's what Henderson didn't even start midweek against Istanbul. I mean, I know that's Champions League, okay, but seem to be, he started the previous games and stuff like that. I don't.
Yeah, I actually did think that was a bit strange because I kind of thought he would be the kind of cup goalie.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be happy with anything less than that. So yeah, I did also think that was slightly strange that he didn't start midweek. But anyway, look, he's in there now, and yeah, he didn't have that much to do second half here, but yeah, did what he needed to do well enough. But then look, anyway, we go into that half time. As I said, there's all sorts of disagreements going on in our chat and whatever. As I said, I thought we did okay and that, yeah, Southampton had the better of the last bit, but that we started well. And I didn't think it was anywhere near doom and gloom. Whereas people, start talking about, oh, Ole's clueless tactically and all that I don't agree with at all. But yeah, look, he comes in, one force changed at half time, which is obviously Henderson. Then the other one was Cavani coming in. I mean, I was pretty surprised to see Cavani come in for Greenwood. I just assumed he would take out Matic or Fred, sacrifice a defensive midfielder now that we're 2 down and go for it. But he's decided to keep a kind of similar structure and just go man for man. I mean, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but do you think he was pretty unhappy with Greenwood for making the wrong decision or missing chances he should be taking?
I don't think so. As you say, first of all, I thought Cavani should have started. I think when Martial, that he's going to be sick, and I just don't think a top two of Greenwood and Rashford was ever really likely to be extremely good, particularly against a difficult Southampton team. They're both players that, well, Greenwood is only starting out and has had a very difficult season so far. Rashford is enigmatic at best and almost always tends to play best off the left. So I was really amazed that we didn't go with that focal point, particularly given how much we'd seen midweek that, it completely changed how we play our football. Could be a tiredness thing. Obviously, we always have to consider Cavani's age, but I was surprised he didn't start him. But as you say, it's interesting that when he did make the change at 2-0 down, he didn't take off a midfielder. Donny van de Beek would have been a very easy substitution to make, and then you would have had presumably Greenwood out right, Cavani through the middle, Rashford out left, a much more typical 4-2-3-1, arguably more attacking. And as we know, Greenwood is likely to get you a goal at any given stage, so possibly always worth keeping on. So that is very surprising, and probably, given how it's all shook out, to Ole's credit that he didn't make that decision, because you just don't know how that would have gone for us. But I don't think Greenwood was that bad in the first half. I mean, the one where he rounds the keeper, he should score, but he does well. He kind of gets the chance for himself with good movement coming in. And I thought the one where he was going through on goal, he did pretty much everything spot on. He wasn't super involved outside of that, but he's never super involved. He's still just growing into that. So I was slightly surprised at the time, although it felt like the right decision, but I don't think it was necessarily due to any big issue. I more think it was more about he wanted to keep Van der Beek and Bruno on, and I think that obviously paid dividends for him. And I think Rashford purely outranks Greenwood, because I actually think Greenwood had a better first half than Rashford.
We didn't really have that killer instinct, and with Edinson, we just wanted him on, and we knew it was going to be also a matter of fitness. And to keep the likes of Donny on the pitch, Fred and Nemanja in midfield, I thought that was going to be important. So it was about taking one of the forwards off, and we made the decision that we made.
Yeah, no, it is interesting to kind of know what the thought process was behind that. But look, in the end, it's absolutely vindicated and it's absolutely worked out for Ole, and he's looking like tactical genius coming through. I mean,
Calm down.
Yeah, all right.
2-0 down. I'm going to bring on this star striker. Oh yeah, great idea.
No, but as I say, I actually do think most people were surprised that he brings on the striker and takes out Greenwood. As I said, yeah. I think the obvious thing everybody was expecting was that the striker comes in and you go more to Greenwood outright. As I said, so to stick. And the reason I think he probably started with Greenwood rather than Cavani is because I think, if Martial had been fit, I'm sure it would have been Martial and Rashford. And he wants those kind of two speedy, wide forwards, that's worked for us in certain matches before away from home. And obviously Cavani's not the fastest. So I think that's why he's chosen Greenwood over Cavani to start this game. Possibly also he's already penciled in Cavani to be starting against PSG. I'm sure he knows he wants some payback at PSG, and he's not going to start him 3 games in a row.
Why can't he?
Well, look, he's 33. He's still getting back up to fitness, maybe later in the season. But I think it's a big ask after he's just come into the team to start expecting him to play 3 games in a week.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he looks super sharp and always has done. I think his physicality and his fitness looks better than anyone. Like I see, and I don't mean to be ragging on Rashford here at all, but I see him trudging around the pitch, after 30, 40 minutes, not wanting to press and not looking lively at all. And then you see Cavani absolutely charging around all the time. I don't know that there is an issue with fitness there at all. Certainly, we don't know what.
Yeah, he has only come on at half time though, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, even in midway, every game, I don't think it's ever looked like it's sharpness. Yes, fitness, no, I don't think. And also, I think it's absolutely fair enough with a nod towards Wednesday, obviously with PSG, but in terms of wanting these two quick, dynamic wide forwards, Ole has been near enough on record since coming here that he's consistently wanted the target man. Even though he got rid of Lukaku, we were interested in Mandzukic, we were interested in Allen, we went and got Cavani. There's always been those kind of strikers being looked at, because I think he's quite rightly recognised that as good as Rashford and Martial are and can be on their own, a lot of times you'll miss that focal point and that kind of classic number 9 that Cavani is, and that other strikers that we've been reported to be looking at are. And I think that's been really, really evident in this game and the last game, and therefore it makes it a very interesting thing moving forward to see, because it's quite interesting now where Ole has these 2 young strikers, or 3 young strikers, all still relatively young, and that he's back to the hilt since he's been here, and that have all come on, I think, pretty well, you could say. And now he has this kind of veteran striker who, ultimately won't be at the club for very long. Maybe this season, another season, hard to imagine much beyond that. And yet at the moment, he's certainly the informed player and looks like he's quite transformative to how we play. And it'll be interesting to see when Martial's fit, when Greenwood's fit, when Rashford's fit, and Cavani's fit, whether he goes to a bit part role or whether he maintains that place in terms of helping us with an actual number 9. I think that'll be super interesting to see.
Yeah, and we'd already seen, like I said, against Istanbul, what kind of different he brings into our game. It's just about movement, isn't it? And just knowing those kind of what a number 9 should be, where he should be going. And Martial, last season, I thought he was really learning well, coming on, and this season, for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened at all. And, we talked about this a bit on the last pod. And then it was interesting to see Martial play wide left for the first time in a long time against Istanbul, and did pretty well. Was unlucky not to score. I thought he did well then. Maybe he looks more comfortable in that position. I don't know. I'm a bit lost myself now on where to be with Martial, because I thought last season he really came into that number 9 role, started learning even back to goal, was scoring goals with his head, and I just thought this season was going to be the one he was really going to show that, yeah, I am a number 9, and it's not happened at all. So now all of a sudden you see Cavani come in, making those runs, doing the difference, but he also, he played the role well, because he was playing out right a lot of the time. And I think somebody had asked in our chat, what's Cavani doing on the right? And it's just, he is just playing the role he's been given by Ole, and is happy to come and follow it in there. And that was the great thing to see, that we think Cavani's going to come in just to be that box striker, score the goals, but he's actually started off by teeing one up for Bruno.
Exactly.
And we're straight back in the game there. And then when we get 2-1, Jamie, were you then confident from that point, or were you just happy to see us actually get in the game? What did you think we could go on from there and win it?
Maybe not win it, but I was just glad to see that we scored in terms of very quickly in the second half, and gave ourselves a chance to at least make a fist of the second half. It wasn't as if we were scoring the first goal with 10-15 minutes to go, and then you were still sitting thinking, all right, okay, it's maybe a bit late. I was just glad that we got back into the game pretty early in the second half. As much as the change definitely did help in the second half, and the outcome of the game is evident of that, I still thought the first 5-10 minutes of the second half, we still took a wee bit of working out, because I thought Southampton, okay, Henderson didn't have much to do, but I still thought Southampton were the ones that started the second half on the front foot and still looked hungrier than we did, still looked like they were the ones that were likely to score the next goal. So the fact that we did score just halted their momentum a wee bit, and then, as I kind of alluded to earlier on, the momentum then immediately starts to swing back the other way. Regarding Cavani popping up on the right hand side, I think you can just see that's what a world-class player gives you, is just a wee bit of intelligence, where, okay, he's not a right winger, but he pulls right, and instead of just making a mad run or some mad pass, he just holds onto the ball for a second after he receives it from Wan-Bissaka, and the ball into the box isn't just a lofted ball in, or a wild pass, or a square pass just to anyone. He picks out Bruno brilliantly, so that Bruno even has time just to control the ball, kill it, and just pass it into the net. And from that point, you could just see the players just G'd themselves up a wee bit to the point that, okay, we're back in the game, let's get back, start again, and let's get back on the front foot. And the momentum change was stark again, where suddenly Southampton couldn't pass the ball. They were losing the ball easily. We were snapping into tackles. One thing I think Van de Beek definitely gives us as well that maybe hasn't been spoken about is I think he's got a wee bit of bite and a wee bit of needle about him, as we say in Scotland, where he just doesn't let players settle on the ball either. There was an incident after we got the goal back. I can't remember if it was Che Adams or if it was somebody else, but they had the ball on the left-hand side. They just won it back off one of our players, and Van de Beek then runs over, tries to tackle him once, doesn't quite do it, but then forces the player wide to the touchline, and then he literally tracks him for about 10-15 yards, constantly harrying him, eventually wins the ball, plays a square pass, and then runs off the other way. The only reason I'm mentioning that one time is because I did count 3 or 4 times that he done that, where he just doesn't let other players settle on the ball, and that's good to see if he's wanting to be playing deeper in the midfield, because I don't think we've got enough of that from, say, the likes of Matic or even McTominay, where, yeah, they win tackles, but I just mean the constant harrying the opposition and snapping in, and even if they get away from that first tackle, just keep tracking them, keep forcing them wide, keep forcing them to the touchline, win the ball back, and then rather than look for some mad Hollywood pass or a run, literally just play a square ball and then get yourself free again, going in the other direction, and get us back in possession of the ball and forcing the other team to go back towards their own goal, because that's exactly what we did once we got the goal back. So maybe not immediately, but within 5-10 minutes of the goal going in, you did feel there was definitely more goals there, that we just had to be smart enough to manufacture the opportunity. But yeah, within 5-10 minutes of getting the one goal back, I did think there was definitely the opportunity to draw the game, but depending on how when we scored the second goal, absolutely we could get back and win the game.
Yeah, and it was great. I think it's about 15 minutes later that Bruno kind of returns the favour, although it wasn't exactly a pinpoint cross to Cavani. But, again, Cavani showing there what you get from a proper number 9, like, a diving header finish. You will not see that kind of finish from anyone else in our team. Martial, Rashford, unlikely to get their heads on the end of that kind of thing. And yeah, I guess that is the difference from having what Ole always called his break the nose striker, who's just, ready for those kind of things, dropping around the box wherever they are. Just, the reactions were perfect to put that in there. And yeah, brilliant to see him get off the mark. And then, yeah, we roll on from there. And at 2-2, all the impetus is with us, right? I mean, Colm, you must have been confident then that we can go and get this last one, right?
I was, but we left it late enough, and we didn't create a super amount in between. But it did feel like there was always a goal coming from the first one. I would agree. At the start of the second half, I wasn't confident at all. In fact, I was quite confident we wouldn't come back from a 2-goal deficit. But once the first one went in, and I just thought, there was really just a real increase in tempo and the speed of everything in the second half. The play in the first half wasn't bad. It was just a little bit pedestrian. And I think this is just how we go. We do tend to start slowly. We do tend to concede, and then we kind of warm up as we go. But the one-touch passing, the kind of invention and the willingness to actually try something a bit more adventurous just seemed a lot better in the second half. General shape seemed a lot better, and the things just came off. And yeah, I wasn't expecting us to make the full comeback. I was delighted when we did, but when we did get that second goal, it did seem like it was absolutely on the cards. I mean, Southampton looked like they were pretty much done with the game and just trying to hold on to what they had, and they did their classic Shane Long substitution, which didn't really do anything for them. And I think at that point they really handed all the impetus to us. One thing I thought that really annoyed me, Tellez took our corners from the left-hand side, out swinging with the left foot. Bruno took our corners from the right-hand side, out swinging with the right foot. I don't understand it at all. I just don't understand. I think in swinging corners generally so much better. And also I just think Telles is a much better corner taker than Bruno Fernandes. Bruno failed to clear the first man on about 3 occasions today from the right hand side, and the goal came from Telles swinging in a good ball in a corner and Bruno being on the edge of the box to drill it in. Obviously he's trying to shoot and he misses the target, but if he's not there it doesn't happen. He is the player out of anyone on the edge of the box that you'd want it falling to. I know we kind of toyed with this Telles volley at the back post midweek as well, which was equally as bizarre. I just don't understand why we can't just make simple, good football decisions. Telles should take every single corner, and he should certainly take the ones from the right hand side, swinging in. Like, it's bizarre to me.
Yeah, Bruno's corners were not that great, and it is difficult to complain about Bruno in a week where he scored 3 goals, one of them being an absolute worldie.
Bruno is God.
Yeah, but as I say, one of my favourite things is passing accuracy. And Bruno today, he's at 60%, which is like about as bad
Couldn't care less.
You will see.
Couldn't care less.
That's it. That is the thing. Like, he'll give it away time and time again, but he's got a goal.
He tried to lob the keeper twice. And neither occasion he was anywhere near it. I don't even think it was on.
Yeah,
this is from 30, 40 yards. That and when we were 2-0 down at the time, he was trying to lob the keeper. Like, he does crazy things. He does the first thing that comes into his head, and that is both his, biggest positive and biggest negative. But see the fans that for the last sort of month or two have been starting to get on his back about this and starting to say, well, maybe he's not actually that good and all this. Like, give your head a wobble. He has 15 goals since his Premier League debut, tied first with Mo Salah, a striker or a high winger, and he has 10 assists since his Premier League debut, tied first with Kevin De Bruyne. He is simultaneously the best striker and the best midfielder in the Premier League. It's just unbelievable. Like, it's genuinely beyond criticism. He can do anything he wants.
It's also 25, so as you said, yeah, it's 15 and the 10, but then it came up in the second half saying, so since his debut, that's 25 goal involvements. The next highest is Harry Kane at 23.
I think in all competitions he has 34 goal involvements in 35 games. Like,
that's just ridiculous. Like, you can't even criticise him.
It's actually flying under the radar because we haven't been good. And in many ways he is carrying this team and doing a lot of work to take a lot of pressure off Ole, because if you took him out of this team, literally Lord knows where we would be. But he's not even getting the plaudits because generally we've been underperforming. So a lot of those goals and assists have been vital, but also a lot of them have not ended up being that vital. And that's not his fault. That's everyone else's fault. But like, it's mad that we have a player who's that productive and we've still managed to not do that well.
No, yeah, it is. Like I say, you see, as something I've always been fixated on since like those Louis van Gaal days, and you see a player who's, all right, he is a number 10, more attacker, but yeah, he's still a midfielder and down at like 60%, and you go, oh, that's pretty bad. But when you deliver those kind of stats, then yeah, it's irrelevant. You're right. We'll also say Marcus Rashford is pretty low down today, 65%, and that was the problem on why we did not get as far as we want to. It's often the last ball.
Yeah,
we have these days time and time again, often where people are choosing to shoot when they should pass, or often as well. Likewise, people are passing when they should shoot. I thought there was a couple of times that Donny van de Beek was in positions today where I wanted to just smash it and have a go, and he was trying to lay it off and it didn't come off. But these are just nitpicking at the end when you come out of a win like that. As I said, we left it late to get that winner going into injury time, but I still felt it was coming. I felt it was coming. And, we gave ourselves enough time each time, as you said, Jamie. It was around the 60-minute mark we get the first one, 15 minutes later, gives us enough time to keep working. And I know when that 5 minutes of injury time went up, you could kind of see Southampton were not happy about having another 5 minutes because they were already starting to struggle a bit, and they have that kind of high energy, high press that, does kind of start playing on you after a while. And we managed to get that winner in there finally.
Rashford, Cavani! Exactly the kind of quality that they brought him in for. The second half super sub has turned around what was a desperate situation into scenes of elation.
I'd say this week in general actually is all about our summer signings. Telles has come into the team finally after a delayed start to his career with COVID and this kind of thing. Cavani as well, same as delayed start with quarantines and getting back to fitness. And Van der Beek, after everybody talking a lot, has now had 2 starts in a row. And this week, like I say, is all about those were our 3 main summer signings, all coming in and all doing very well. So positive on the kind of squad building side of things, because there was a lot of question marks in the summer about our window. But I think generally on this show we said, look, we're not happy about how the business went and it was all way too late, but the players who've actually come in are good players and should help us out there. And now that we've got 3 or 4 injuries, they've had their chances and are all doing really well. So great to see there. And it will be interesting now to see what happens when everybody's fit and going on there. I think we did have the question from good old banished Dave Dave G. He was saying, what would be your first 11 now? And for me, I don't know. I actually find it quite difficult to answer that question right now. Going into this PSG game, Cavani surely is going to have to start, but I think some things might be more forced than not. We don't know who's available and not, but I mean, Colm, right now, what would be your first starting 11? Assuming everybody's fit as well.
If
not
everybody's
talking about
fit,
who's fit.
It is Dean Henderson, number 1, for entirely personal reasons. And that's not just because I don't like David De Gea, and I don't really like David De Gea. It's because I just think Dean Henderson deserves the shout. And I would like to see us move forward as a club. And if that means certain players who are still good players and who have been okay and good this season, but it's time for them to go, that's just my personal opinion. I know people won't like that, but that's how I feel about it. Back 4, I think, picks itself. It's Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and it's a toss-up. I would have Telles, although that might be just a shiny new toy thing. Shaw by no means has been terrible, but I would probably pick Telles because I do think he's better going forward, and that's more what I care about from a fullback. I'm going to do up front next because midfield is an absolute nightmare.
Midfield
I think
is where
midfield is where the problems are. I think our best team at the moment is Martial left, Cavani number 9, and Rashford out right. I think Cavani is nearly second or third name in the team sheet for me at the moment. He's a player who, when he came, I was quite annoyed by it, as you say, more the manner of it than him himself. Although I also did think, this smacks of Falcao, this smacks of Di Maria, this smacks of that guy who PSG didn't want that needs that final payday. And I'm absolutely been wrong in that. And it was very clear to me very quickly that I was wrong in that, just because it actually caused me to go and look at Cavani, who I'd never really looked at for too in depth as a player, but I didn't know how hardworking he was, how much of a professional was, what his demeanor and his mentality was like. And I think now I understand that much better. I'm much happier with him as a player. But we don't win that game today with anyone other than Cavani. Martial doesn't score those 2 headers, not even close. Rashford doesn't score them, not even close. They're not even in the positions to engage with them. Ighalo probably has a better chance of scoring those chances than any other player on our pitch. Maybe Greenwood, but I doubt it again. So, although we did have other chances today, they were missed because we have other inconsistent players, and that's what happens with young, talented players. Rashford has bad days where he makes the wrong decision. He tries to pass it into Fred when he shouldn't. He is offside and then shoots when he should be squaring it to Greenwood, I think it was, or sorry, Bruno possibly. That's going to happen. But with Cavani, you get that experience and that quality proven over years, where if you put the balls in certain positions, 9 times out of 10, he'll be there and he'll score. He'll make runs that no one else in our team make runs, and the general shape when we have him there as a number 9 is just far better. So for me, he's vital. Midfield, then obviously Bruno 10, no doubt about it. Midfield, I think for 9 out of 10 games, I would pick either Fred and Pogba or Fred and Van der Beek. I think there's a big argument that against big teams and in big games that you need McTominay or Matic there, and Matic was very, very good today, but I would like to see us move away from him. But that'd be my team. Yeah, that would be my team.
Jamie, what would you change in Colm's team?
I would change De Gea. I would start with De Gea, and to kind of back myself up a bit, I agree that Henderson coming back has made him step up a bit because he has been better this season. The 2 free kicks he's conceded, I think he probably should save the one against Istanbul. Today, I just thought the one today was a good free kick, and he maybe could do better, but at the same time, I've seen countless free kicks from Ronaldo or Beckham or Messi or whoever where the keeper gets a hand, but it's one of those where all they can do is get a hand to it and it's in. So I just think it's one of those today.
I mean, to be fair, I probably would if someone asked me this question before today's game or before Istanbul, I still would have picked Dean Henderson. So I'm not being totally objective in that.
Oh yeah. But I just mean I do think he has been much better this season. So for that reason, I would still pick De Gea. The back four, I agree. I think Maguire and Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka all pick themselves. Tellez, Shaw has been good this season. It's a shame he got his injury when he did, because he has been good as well. But I just think Tellez has got such a wicked cross on him, and I really like the way he plays, so I'd probably go with Tellez as well. Up front, I think having Martial, Rashford on the right-hand side, Martial on the left, and Cavani up front is pretty much the go-to way at the moment with Bruno in the 10. If it's a difficult game, so obviously with the PSG game coming up, I would probably still go with Fred and McTominay, as opposed to if it was just a run-of-the-mill game or even just a normal game in the Premier League. I would probably go with Fred and Van de Beek, just because I think Van de Beek just gives us a little bit more craft in the midfield.
No Pogba whatsoever.
I don't know. I'm at the point I think we need to move on from the whole Pogba experiment. And to back up McTominay as well, because I wasn't available last week to sing his praises after the whole Scotland making the Euros thing. I think he doesn't get enough credit, McTominay, because one thing that I've absolutely noticed in the Scotland games, and I think it goes a little bit under the radar in Man United games, is he does well in stepping out with the ball, and it's not just the 5-yard pass. He does very well with a big long raking pass that helps get Scotland in particular on the front foot. So Scotland play with Lyndon Dykes up front, who is, okay, he's not a world beater by any means at all, but in terms of what Scotland need, he's a big, strong guy up front who's going to win everything in the air. He's going to head everything. He's even good with the ball at his feet and on his chest, and immediately looks to knock the ball off to whether it's Ryan Christie or Callum McGregor or whoever it is from midfield. But the reason he can do that is because Scotland haven't just got, say, Robertson or Tierney on the left-hand side, who are both really good at the same thing, hitting not just a fancy ball up front, but just a good pass up to the front man for him to control and bring out another player in. McTominay is very good at that as well, because Davy Provan, for example, who was on commentary, was non-stop in his praise for McTominay, saying him playing in that right-hand side of the back three, you could constantly see whoever our central defender was, or whoever was deepest in the midfield, their outball every single time when we had the ball was either Tierney on the left or McTominay on the right, because every single time both of them were comfortable enough and good enough to step forward with the ball, potentially beat a man, but most notably they could hit a pass right up front or to the far side of the pitch, or a simple pass round the corner to someone else. And I just think McTominay deserves a bit more credit for that. I don't think he gets enough credit for it, and I think in the big games he is invaluable with Fred next to him. Okay, he's not the most, I don't know the word, romantic player. He's not the best in terms of getting you out your seat, but I think if you're looking for a solid midfield performance, I think he should be playing. But if it's a run-of-the-mill Premier League game, I probably would play Van de Beek next to Fred.
Yeah, all right, Jamie. I know you'd been itching to talk about Scotland.
Oh man, I needed to
Some
get
very
it in.
irrelevant information about Scotland.
Five minutes of Scotland hour there.
I needed to get it in.
Yeah, but yeah, well done to your boys for like first time. Is it like probably the first time in your? I don't know how long do you remember when Scotland were last in an international competition?
Well, I was only 7 in 1998.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, Scotland are going to be in England's group, aren't they?
Yeah, so
that's going
to be exciting.
So I'm sure we'll definitely talk a bit more about Scotland when it comes around to it over there. But yeah, look, I'm in probably same place around where you guys are. I mean, at the moment, it would be good to see this kind of Martial left, Rashford right. And that's an interesting thing. We've barely ever seen Rashford play right. He did it midweek the other day. And, this right side has been a problem for us for so long. But yeah, all of a sudden, at least he did well there. Let's see what Ole goes with. I mean, yeah, looking ahead now, it is PSG coming up. We've obviously beaten them already this season and beat them last season. They're not on a great run of form, are they? I think, Jamie, you were looking at their form. They've just drew with Bordeaux 2-2, lost the other day to Monaco. Then they scraped a 1-0 win against Leipzig, even though Leipzig played pretty well in the last game week. So they're not on top form at all, but they'll obviously be itching to get a result against us. And at the same way, Cavani is going to be, he's been waited a long time to have this go at PSG. I mean, they turfed him out. He wasn't happy about how things went. I think he had a real feud with Neymar back then. That's what kind of sealed his fate of leaving the club over there. So this game is going to have a lot of personal kind of battles going on the pitch over here. I mean, we're in a pretty good position, and even a draw would probably be a decent enough result for us in this game. But yeah, look, there's going to be a fight going on there for sure. I think it'll be interesting. I think Cavani will definitely be getting in there. See how we go. But I think the team kind of does pick itself just because of who's going to be available and who's not. But I mean, is there anything different you'd expect to see, Colm, in this game?
Yeah, I think there will be changes, as Jamie's obviously alluded to through that detailed breakdown of totally irrelevant Scotland stuff. Scott McTominay has had some really good performances against PSG, particularly. The last game, him and Fred were both massive, and obviously last year as well. So I definitely think he'll play.
Well, we don't know if he's available or not yet. That's the only issue.
Oh, is that right?
He's not been fit enough.
Yeah.
He's not been fit enough even to be on the bench today. So I would not expect him to come straight into the team. If he's not even been able to make the bench today, I'll be amazed if he starts.
I mean, there's just so many question marks. Obviously, Pogba couldn't make the bench today, still with his ankle worry, I think. Martial's sickness, as far as I know, is undefined, so we don't know. De Gea, I don't think we're sure. Ole said after the match that he hopes he's fit for the weekend, but he's not. Or hope he's fit for midweek, but he's not sure.
To say.
So I think it's really tricky. Tellez went off injured today, so that could be a big problem. We could have Brandon Williams in there again, which mightn't be great. So there's not a lot there that really. It may be like similar issue to today, where Ole doesn't have a whole pile of scope. I think you're absolutely right about Cavani. I think he'll definitely start. I hope so. Anyway, it's one of those things where I think you have to start him, particularly given
he'll have to. He'll definitely start
other than
that
football decisions, but just generally, player to returning club who didn't want them, didn't think he was good enough, kind of thing. I think he has to. And then maybe Greenwood if Martial's not fit again, but it's hard to say at the moment. It's very hard to say at the moment.
Yeah, like it is true. We don't know who exactly is available. I mean, but yeah, I'd say these players have deserved to go for another game. And the player as well who doesn't get enough credit time and time again, Fred. I mean, for me, he's almost like our man of the match. And, Cavani's going to get all the plaudits from this game. And yeah, fair enough, rightly so. But yeah, Fred, I thought, put in a brilliant midfield performance. And not just only from the kind of just, tackling that you normally expect from him and interceptions, how he's bringing the ball, turning through and actually making play from playing slightly further forward with Matic as the sitter. I thought he actually did damn well today.
I agree.
And yeah, the start of our season as well, nobody was wanting Fred in our team. I remember we did a poll on the Twitter or whatever, and he was the last one with some of who are our midfield options behind everybody: Matic, Van der Beek, McTominay, Bruno. Everybody was given more chance to get in our team than Fred. But yeah, I think for him now, and I was interested to hear that both of you had him in your starting lineup, and it was only then more question marks over more Pogba, McTominay, Van der Beek.
I think that's beyond doubt at the moment. I mean, Fred still has the odd little giveaway and stuff like that, but
you do say that, but as I say today, 94% passing accuracy.
It's more that the ones he does make sometimes are in not great positions, but it's such a small criticism because the amount he gets through, and he's always the one going to pick up the ball, and he does have a really good left foot in terms of the way he moves the ball around the place. He doesn't want to just make the safe pass. He's quite happy to, really whip it out and kind of miss a man. Whereas I think a lot of times, if you think of 4 players across the width of the pitch, a lot of times at United we'll make sure every single one of those players gets a touch when the person who had the ball first could just pass to the last guy, you know what I mean, and move the ball so much quicker. And Fred very rarely does that. He also breaks into space really well. You nearly always get him driving through towards the box at certain points in games. For me, he's pretty untouchable there unless his form were to really dive off a cliff, and it's just who you pair with him. And Matic was also extremely good today. I'm just kind of like Matic is a useful player. I just don't want to see him being like an integral part of the team, because at his, we just need to move on. As I've said with a few players, like I just think we just need to move past a few players, and you never really give the players behind them a chance if you just keep giving the minutes to players who probably don't have that much more to give you time wise. But he was really good today as well. But Fred's definitely the one.
I totally agree, and yeah, he's the one, like I say, who doesn't get enough credit. It's still like our most underrated player, and as I said, most people, there was even so much talk about him leaving in the summer, and we're all pretty much agreed that he's been vital to our resurgence now. So yeah, look, we're sitting pretty well, like around 7th in the table now. As we're speaking, Spurs and Chelsea are 0-0, which is kind of good for us. If those ahead of us don't, if there's no win over there. But yeah, we're sat in a pretty good place now. With a game in hand going forward there. In the Champions League group as well, we're still top of that group. I think, how many more points do we need to be sure? Is it just another point which takes us through for sure in the Champions League?
Yeah, 1 point will do it. So
1 point is certain, I think.
Yeah, so
and I think we can even go through with 2 losses here.
Yeah, depending on other results,
on the scores,
it is possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're sat very well all around here. And as I say, only a few weeks ago, people are talking about crisis, Ole out, Pochettino in, and I'm really glad to see things have turned around a corner. And as I said in the last podcast, I felt that we could go on a bit of a run now. Although that was based a lot around players being back and not having injuries, and all of a sudden, you're not expecting the likes of Martial to be out. We still need to hear who's out and who's not available. But yeah, the squad coming in, the 3 new players making a difference, showing they were value, even though our transfer window was much maligned for correct reasons. As I said, we could have actually had the likes of Telles, Cavani involved much earlier on if they'd been bought in at the right time. So I think even though there have been good players coming in, you can definitely still have that criticism of why players are signed on the last day. You see, these quality players who we've only really started being able to integrate around December time. But yeah, it's good because you see our December schedule coming up, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're not the only ones. There's a lot of teams playing a lot of games, and Ole and Klopp have been having a go at schedulers and broadcasters and everything like that. But yeah, I think you just have to deal with what's coming out there, and thankfully so far we're dealing with it well. I'm sure we will come back and record after PSG. But I mean, do you want to give a prediction for that game, Colm? What do you think?
Tough one. I'm gonna say 2-1 win United. wrap up the group.
All right, feeling confident. How about you, Jamie?
I'll go 3-1 United.
I predicted a draw for this Southampton game and we won, so I'm going to predict a draw again and hope it's some kind of...
In fairness, right, the only reason I said 3-1 is because I went back and watched the highlights of the Champions League, when they do the highlights show on BT Sport and they go through each of the games, and they were really, really scathing of PSG. Both the commentator in the match watching the game, and then I can't remember who the ex-player was, but then the ex-player and the presenter after the game, who were then reviewing it, were all scathing of PSG. I mean, they won 1-0 by a penalty that, quite frankly, is an absolute dive and a half by resident favourite Di Maria.
Snake.
So it's a dive on the floor, they win the penalty, and then literally every chance in the highlights after that was Leipzig. Literally every chance. So I don't know if they were just because a few players came back from injury, or if it was, I don't know, just they were desperate just to win the game 1-0 to give themselves a chance going into the last 2 games of the group stage. But they really weren't impressed with them. And then if you look at the league form as well, the league form really leaves a lot to be desired. 2-2 against Bordeaux. They were 2-0 up against Monaco and they lost 3-2. I think they've also lost another game recently on top of that. Thomas Tuchel just seems as though he's hanging on by the skin of his teeth at the moment, to be honest. And I think if we were to get a good result against him on Wednesday, I don't think he'd be long for that job, to be honest.
Woo!
Yeah, well, let's see. Let's hope we can shake that up. Like I said, this game on Wednesday is going to be really interesting because there's so many stories on the pitch. There's always Di Maria coming back to us, and Cavani going back against them. I don't know. Is Herrera playing for them much at the moment? He did play in that first game.
Yeah, he played last week as well.
He will be there as well.
He played last week.
Yeah. all over the pitch. There's some great little stories, and I say like we'll be happy with the draw. But yeah, if we can get another win against them again, then yeah, it's dreamland. And yeah, let's not forget that hardly anyone gave us chance of getting out of this group. Everybody was saying that we're not going to make it, that, you know, against Leipzig, against PSG, Ole's not up to it. But yeah, so far we're doing...
I think people said it was a tough group, Nick. I don't know that anyone gave us zero chance against RB Leipzig, for example.
Well, I'm telling you, on this podcast, I mean, I don't think you were on that one, but there was 3 people on it. I think Imran had said he thought we were going to end up 3rd in this group and we'd go out. David had said that, you know, Nagelsmann is the genius of all time and we have absolutely zero chance in those Leipzig games.
You can't take anything David says seriously because it's guaranteed to change in at least a week, probably twice.
And, you know, Reese as well at the time was talking up a lot, PSG, Tuchel and Nagelsmann, and didn't think that Ole could deal with these managers. So, yeah, all around, there was very little positivity about how we were going to get through this group. And at the moment...
Thank God you were on that one.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always the glass half full one, ready to push it forward. But no, look, anyway, we're all happy that we're rolling on. League position is looking good. Champions League position looking good, but yeah, we've got a crazy December coming up. I don't think there's any way we're going to be able to keep up and record every single game in this period, but yeah, I'm sure at least once a week we'll pop up and tell you what's going on over there. But yeah, this is going to make everybody's seasons, this period now that every team is going to be playing. When we come out, see we're at in New Year, then yeah, we'll see how we roll on for the next year. But yeah, at the moment we're all happy, looking good, and just hope that we can get a bit more. Not have to go a goal or 2 down before we start playing every time would be nice.
I mean, that stat is like us in such a nutshell. Having been, what was it, the first club ever to win 4 games, having conceded
4 away games in a row, having gone behind in every single one. And yeah, as I say, it's Everton last week, it was Newcastle United, and going all the way back to Brighton at the start of the season. It seems already a lifetime ago, but yeah, those are our 4 last Premier League games away from home. Every time we've gone behind and won them.
It's not a recipe for success in any way, shape, or form, and it's so us both simultaneously absolutely abysmal and really very good.
Yeah, look, if it has to be that way, it has to be that way. It would be nice for us to do it the easy way and be more comfortable, but yeah, you'll take those wins any way they come. And look, yeah, as usual, a quick shout out for please do hit us up, follow us at Twitter at United_hour. We are also on Facebook and Instagram, although yeah, we don't get enough time to update those things. But yeah, mostly Twitter is where you'll get most of our news. And yeah, give us any comments on there, or yeah, head over to Red Cafe, and there's normally a bit of discussion going on about each show over there. We will, I'm sure, come back after PSG and let's see where we're at then. I think yeah, that's about all for us for this week. Good night from me.
Cheerio.
Good night, troops.